Sport Curriculum Assignment 2, Presentation of a Medium-Term Curriculum. Here is the title page for the presentation, and there's a key in the bottom right corner that goes through all the titles that will be featured. So we have things such as the introduction, the evaluation of participants' current stage of development, medium-term learning outcomes, the 6-week curriculum of core activities, academic skills, and a reference list, as well as the learning objective for the assignment in the top corner. Just wanted to run you through some information about my placement itself at Sleaford United Football Club. So my placement is from October 2022 to April 2023. It's with the ladies team, which is formerly the Just Play programme, run by the FA. The training sessions are every Friday night, 8 till 9 p.m, and they're 60 minutes long at Cars Grammar School AstroTurf, which is a 3G pitch in Sleaford, Lincolnshire. The management consists of Charlie Fitch, who's the manager, and Harry Tancred, who's the coach. There is 10 to 15 players usually per session, with some of the players being a beginner level and some being a really good standard level as well. So there's quite a nice mix of players, which is kind of nice for the program itself, because it's all developed about just about turning up and having a go and having a bit of fun, pretty much. Moving on to the evaluation of participants' current stage development. So we're going to be looking at Baum's theory. So David Baum created a criteria for the process of setting learning outcomes when coaching. So Baum created 7 standards for the coach to meet when setting learning outcomes for the participants, which are active, so that's something that participants can do; attractive, which is participants want to achieve it; comprehensible, which is the understanding from the participants; appropriate, which is to the participants' current goals and the plans; attainable, which is most participants will meet the target set with effort; accessible, we can see if the participant has achieved their goal overall; and visible to the participants and other coaches around the football club or coaching setup. We are designing our medium-term plan for the 6-week curriculum. We will also be looking at David Baum's criteria and using that towards that, so with the objectives. So moving on now to performance problems. So I've taken this screenshot from my first assignment of this unit of sport curriculum, and it goes through all the performance problems that I faced when coaching with the ladies setup during my placement overall. So you can see communication, finding space, general fitness, and basics of football. They were the 4 main aspects I found that the ladies were struggling with and needed help with. So I've gone into a bit of detail there, as you can see, in terms of what I think could be helped, and in terms of also what's going on really as well. Here we have the performance problems, again, like I've just shown you on the previous slide, but the expectations this time was what the club or the coaches expect overall. So with communication, the expectation is that 6 months into the team being formed at Sleaford United, that the team should be actively communicating with each other during the training sessions and the game-based scenarios at the end of each training session as well. This is expected as each player should have got to know each other's strengths and weaknesses throughout the weeks, as well as having some sort of communication away from the pitch in the team chats or at social events overall. The next performance aspect is finding space. So the expectation from the club is that the players at this point in the season should be able to recognise when to move into space in a training session or a game to receive a pass, or with the idea of going to attack in the attempt to try and score a goal against the opposition. General fitness. So the expectation with general fitness is that the ladies they'll be fit enough to last 90 minutes when they get into competitive fixtures in September 2023. Now, currently the programme is designed for those who are new to football, so it's not a massive expectation that we are looking for everyone to be super fit in terms of the programme at the moment. So that's why when I'm coaching, it's important you've got to adapt to different levels in terms of some might be fitter players and some might be less fit. So yeah. And finally, the biggest performance problem of all is basics of football or fundamental skills. So the expectation with the basics of football fundamental skills is that the ladies should understand the basic skills such as passing, dribbling, and shooting by the end of the season. If this is achieved, then the managers can work on complex tactics and technical elements to take into the competitive fixtures when they go into them in 2023, in September 2023, so the team can rival other local teams in the area, and overall the team can perform at a good standard. Now move on to performance problems and their reality. So this is the current state of the situation of the performance problems on my placement whilst we are in the month of the end of February now, nearly the start of March. So communication. The reality of communication with the ladies is progressing, but there is still some way off the coach's aspirations with the team. I have found in my coaching sessions that there is a lack of communication between the players in the small-sided games. I've also found that not all of the ladies know each other's names, which means it's very difficult for players to pass the ball to their teammates and find success at times during the games. Finding space. The ladies have made some progress with this, but the coaches would like to see more of this in the game-based scenarios at the end of a training session. The coaches can help progress this with adding more drills to get the ladies used to doing this in a competitive game. General fitness. At this point in time, the team's general fitness is under par of where the coaches would like it to be. They're hoping that in another 3 to 4 months' time, the ladies will be in a better shape to be able to last 90 minutes in a competitive fixture. This is a point for the coaches to take on board to increase the range of aerobic activity during a training session in order to increase the potential of the ladies in preparation for them to get into competitive football in September 2023. Basics of football or fundamental skills. Some ladies have mastered these skills so far, but I've noticed in my coaching sessions that there is a few players who are still struggling to pass a ball more than 10 yards with the accuracy or hit a shot with power on target at the goal. This is challenging and means it's difficult when the ladies step up to competitive fixtures, as they will likely get turned over by the opposition if they can't perform the basics. TPM model. So my target performance model, as you can see on the right side, shows the information that athletes would receive after a session. The information in the table shows the technical, tactical, physical, and psychosocial development in the ladies' team's current performance. I have created my TPM model so it's tailored towards a game-based scenario at the end of a training session as well. This TPM model includes specific ideas and the expectation that the ladies can improve on their performance problems that I have identified on my placement. They will also be able to take this into their next training sessions or competitive fixtures with the feedback that I've provided. The performance problems that I have analysed recently in the previous slides and my TPM model will be used to determine the 6-week curriculum that I'll provide for my placement overall. Mental model. A mental model of performance shows the key skills, qualities, and key behaviours that a coach wants to see from their participants. This method also shows the ideas of how these athletes could be successful in their chosen sport if they follow the key elements to the mental model. So as you can see on the right hand side is my mental model for my placement. So my mental model its purpose is to look at the key points of transitioning through an invasion game in my coaching session with the ladies team. So I've implemented the basic elements of a football match, such as attacking and defending, into my mental model. Both elements include moving the ball across the pitch in order to coach the ladies players, the basics of football and fundamental skills that are needed for a competitive fixture. So you can see there is pressing the attackers, defending as a unit, protecting the goal for defence, and for attacking is keep possession of the ball, move the ball through the opposition thirds of the pitch, score a goal. So that is the key elements of defending as a unit in a game, or attacking as a game-based scenario too. Medium term, which is known as a meso plan, learning outcomes. A mesocycle is one of the 3 main stages of planning. The mesocycle is a medium-term planning process which usually outlines a 6-week to season-long process of setting performance goals that are set to help participants achieve the macro goal. Mesocycles usually cater for tactical elements in a coaching scenario. So what are the key elements of planning a mesocycle? So Baum's criteria, which is learning outcomes, performance problems or the learning criteria, technical, tactical, physical and psychosocial skills, and a 6-week outline, which is the curriculum-based model. 6-week curriculum with core activities. So the overall objectives for the 6-week curriculum are obviously we're focusing on 2 topics, which is the basics of football and fundamental skills, and then communication. So for basics of football and fundamental skills, the learning outcome is that the participants were able to perform the basics of football fundamental skills, such as passing, dribbling, and shooting with confidence by the end of the 6-week curriculum. And moving on to communication, the participants will be able to communicate effectively to teammates by being vocal and using instructions to help the team cohesion before competitive fixtures start in September 2023 by the end of the 6-week curriculum. So I'm sure you're thinking, what will be the plan for the 6-week curriculum? So each session consists of a warm-up, which is pre-activation and stretches, the starter activity, which is a fun-based drill, and communication-based drills. That's what we're working on in terms of the overall objective. The main activity is the basics of football fundamental skills-based activities, which is obviously one of our overall objectives. And then the condition game we'll be combining both together as communication and basics of football skills. so we get the best of both worlds during our 6-week curriculum. Moving on to the first block of the 6-week curriculum with weeks 1 to 4, the theme is short and long passing. Our first learning outcome is that all participants should be able to perform a range of short and long passing to their teammates with precision. Our second learning outcome is that all participants should be able to understand each player's names after taking part in the warm-up and starter activities during the sessions. So we have provided a learning outcome for both basics of skills, fundamental skills, and also for communication as well. And as we mentioned that each session on the 6-week plan will have a condition game. This week's condition game is that a team must make 5 passes before they can go and attack against the opposing set of players during the end-based drill. The second block of the 6-week curriculum, we're focusing on dribbling for weeks 5 to 9. The first learning outcome is that all participants should be able to dribble using the inside and outside of their feet whilst keeping the ball at close control. Our second learning outcome is that all participants should be able to learn the basic instructions in football, such as man-on and time, etc., after taking part in the warm-up and starter activities during the sessions. Our condition game for the second block of the 6-week curriculum is that a team has 10 seconds of not being tackled by the opposing team in the end zone, which is a dribbling area. This will give the players longer on the ball to dribble with confidence in a game-based scenario. Final block of the 6-week curriculum, weeks 10 to 12, our theme is shooting. So our first learning outcome is that all participants should be able to perform a range of shots from close and long range with accuracy, meaning on target. Our second learning outcome is that all participants should be able to be vocal whilst instructing players and communicating effectively with their teammates in a game-based scenario. Our final condition game is that the participants will be put into pairs for a 2 versus 2 small-sided game. This will then create lots of opportunities to shoot at each goal, as well as defending from the attacking team when they are shooting at goal. If a player misses a target, they will need to run around the goal and recover to help their teammate to defend when the opposition attacks at the goal. This condition game is also challenging from what they've learned, as well as keeping up with general fitness, which is also one of our performance problems. Academic skills. So in week 28 seminar, we completed a sheet as a group, and it kind of went through the learning outcomes and also stuff like technical, tactical, psychosocial, and physical elements to kind of get us in the way to kind of to develop the medium-term plan. So I obviously, as you can see on the right side, that is my sheet. I obviously lost my sheet the first time, so I've had to go and do another one. But they are my 2 learning outcomes that I had at the time, which I used for feedback. And the feedback I got from the group was that it was too basic and there was no detail in the objectives. Also, the feedback I got in the suggestions was that I needed to specify the aspects of the basic skills in football, which is passing, dribbling, and shooting, for example, and also needed to separate each basic skill in football over the 6-week curriculum, like I have done in the previous slides. So 1 week of passing, 1 week of dribbling, and obviously my final week was shooting. And then communication, it was kind of what is communication and how can I get ladies to communicate in the football team. Reference list. So here is my reference list for the whole of the presentation. So as you'll be able to see, there is 3 articles that I have read for this presentation in terms of looking at definitions such as Baum's criteria, and then the mental model definition, and then obviously the MESO plan for the medium-term curriculum. I've also used the TPM model, performance problems, and mental model, which is all taken from the first assignment that I did in sport curriculum in January. I couldn't find the way for some reason how to get it into alphabetical order on PowerPoint, so I do apologise for that. But that is my reference list for this assignment anyway. Reference list. So I also wanted to attach a club-based reference list to this presentation in terms of the photos I've used at the start when I was talking about my placement at Sleaford United Football Club. So to get them photos, you can go on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter that they have, their club social media accounts, as well as their website, which there is a link provided, and also a link to an article which I've taken one of the photos from too. I thought this would be an important part of the presentation in terms of avoiding copyright and stuff like that, and I've also had permission from the players at Sleaford United Football Club in terms of the ladies team to get these photos of those players and add it to my presentation. So that kind of concludes the presentation now. So I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you've got any questions, then please email me or kind of ask me in class and stuff like that. And I'll happily, provide feedback and stuff like that, and where I could probably improve and what I've done well, I think. But yeah, no, that's pretty much it. And hope you've enjoyed. So thank you very much for watching.